For 2.5 years of my teacher job, I was doing it, was not making any money. And then 2009, I went for a lower salary and then continued working more and more on Geeks for Geeks. And again, with the teaching job also, again for 2.5 years or around 2 years, we were not making any money. So almost 5 years, I was just working on this project and I was not making even a single penny. And there was a time when I was paying a very good amount for the server charges from my teaching salary job. So then I decided to put ads on the site, and so ad revenue grows very slow. The first check I got was of 5,000 rupees in a month income, or maybe it was 1.5 months income. But from this time, the revenue started going up, and content business also one more thing, it doesn't grow very fast, but it grows at a good speed if you keep the quality good and if your consumers are happy with you. So 2.5 years did not make any money. Then started with 5,000 rupees per month and then kept on growing. And when I left my teaching job, at that moment I was making more than my teaching salary. So my teaching salary was at that moment was around 70,000 rupees per month, and this ad revenue was much higher than that.
Hi, this is Siddharth Aluwalia. Welcome to the 100x Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, I have with me Sandeep Jain, founder and CEO of Geeks for Geeks. Geeks for Geeks is a community of 10 million plus registered geeks from around the world. Sandeep is from Firozabad, which is a tier 2 town 40 kilometers away from Agra in Uttar Pradesh, India. He studied in a government school there. He did his graduation from UP Technical University. Later on, he did his master's from IIT Roorkee. He also worked in DE Shaw as a software developer and then followed his passion of teaching by becoming an assistant professor in JIIT Noida. While he was working in JIIT Noida from 2009 to 2015, he started Geeks for Geeks. When he quit his job in DE Shaw in 2009, he jumped into the profession of teaching, doing a 9 to 5 teaching job, and on the nights and on the weekends, building his love for teaching online through Geeks for Geeks. His love for teaching inspired him to create a platform which is used today by 22 million developers and aspiring developers monthly from around the world. And he has kept it almost free for developers so that any tier 3, tier 4 town developer or aspiring developer from India can learn coding and can uplift himself or herself and their family. Welcome, Sandeep, to the 100x Entrepreneur Podcast.
Hi Siddharth, thanks for having me here.
Sandeep, would love to go beyond, the starting of Geeks for Geeks and to your family background, right? In Firozabad, where did you grow up? What did your parents do? And also, right, how was the environment? And where did you learn the love for coding?
So I'll first talk about coding. So I started using computer in my first semester of BTech. तो मैंने BTech में first पहली बार जाके कंप्यूटर को टच किया था. And talking about my background, I was grown up in the city Firozabad. We were like four siblings, and my father was a clerk in a government office. And I had seen like really bad quality of teaching. मैंने यूपी बोर्ड के जो म्यूनिसिपालिटी वाले स्कूल होते हैं वहां से स्कूलिंग किया. उसके बाद the school topper told me that there's something called IIT G. So like everybody else, I also went for it and prepared for IIT G exam for 2 years. And since I was coming from UP board, 1 year I took for Hindi to English translation because most of the popular books they are in English. And after 2 years, I felt like heartbroken because I ended up in an engineering college where there was this was a tier 3 engineering college where there was 0% placement. And when I went to this engineering college, I like felt a lot of struggle in that college. In fact, my health struggles started. My stomach started having problem because there was too much academic pressure, and I could see my seniors they were not getting any jobs. For me, qualifying the academic itself was very difficult. And after 4 years, there was no job. I was sure about it that I'm not going to get any job. And talking about teaching, like I started teaching from schooling itself. I have an elder brother, and he was very weak in studies. He's 1.5 year older than me. So I used to teaching during my school days, and with time, this love for teaching or this passion for teaching became stronger and stronger. Maybe the reason is I've seen really poor quality of teaching everywhere, whether it was this school education or this engineering college. तो स्कूल एजुकेशन में तो आप इमेजिन कर सकते हो सिद्धार्थ की जिस तरह के लोग जिस तरह के टीचर्स होते हैं even in engineering education, if you talk about Indian engineering education, especially the tier 3 engineering colleges, तो वहाँ पे mostly जो teachers होते हैं, those are the people, those typically could not get any job in a software company because software companies pay much higher. If we leave few exceptional teachers, there are very few teachers who are just passionate about teaching it, they just joined it because they wanted to do teaching. But mostly के साथ scenario ये होता है. I saw my teachers in engineering college, they were preparing for software companies, right? And they were teaching us. So with seeing these problems, and I could strongly feel like I can help here, and I can teach better than many other people who have been teaching me, and I can improve this whole system. And Geeks for Geeks turned out to be a great way, because when you're teaching in an engineering college, when you're teaching offline, there are many students who are actually not interested. कि बस उनके पेरेंट्स ने बोल दिया कि इंजीनियरिंग कर लो. But when you're teaching online, those who search something, they only come to your platform. Those who are seriously interested, they only come to learn from you. So that has been the best part about this Geek Stories and this my teaching journey.
And you did your master's from IIT Roorkee, right? So it was immediately after your bachelor's?
No, I took a break. After BTech, I applied everywhere. My first target was to get any job, even if it is 5,000 rupees, because I had to make some money after BTech. So I applied for BPOs, I applied for coaching centers. The good thing was I kind of knew कि मुझे teaching करना है. So I used to apply most of the teaching jobs, and I applied for an engineering college for a teaching job. So I did teaching in engineering college for 1 year after BTech, and then I went for a master's from IIT Roorkee.
And which year was this when you completed your bachelor's in engineering?
It was 2004 when I completed Bachelor's of Engineering, and in 2005 I joined Masters.
And in 2007, you graduated and you got a job in D Shaw immediately after your graduation from college?
Right. So IIT Roorkee का तो सीन ही अलग था वहाँ पर तो it was like more than 100% placement. I could get this job easily from on-campus placements.
So, why did you had a stable job in 2009? Why did you leave your stable job to go back to teaching, right? Where there's so much struggle, you're getting underpaid.
That was the toughest decision, Siddharth, I took in my life. I don't know how did I take this decision. I, kind of knew कि मुझे teacher बनना है. I remember like when IIT Roorkee में companies आते थे, I used to ask my classmates कि यार, is there any teaching job that can pay you equivalent to these software companies? So while I was working in D Shaw, I was okay. I mean, I was an average employee. I was given this kind of feedback. You are not at the top, you are not at the bottom, but I wasn't enjoying it. So out of sheer instinct, I just decided to leave this software job and went for the teaching job. And I did not know like how difficult this decision might become for me because I did not discuss with many people. I just resigned and then told everybody in the family, among friends, and most of them felt like I am being fired from the show. Most of them believed this that way because my wife in fact said that I married to a software developer, not to a teacher in a private engineering college. So, but I somehow followed my sheer instinct and decided to leave that job. And I feel very fortunate that I followed my instinct of teaching and just made this decision. Because after I went for this teaching job, I was teaching, which was very satisfying, teaching engineering college students, and the college where I was teaching, there the quality of students was also good. They were really, if you teach well, they were really happy and they were really enjoying my classes. And not only this, I was getting a lot of time for Geeks for Geeks after 5 o'clock. There was not any work after not off any office work after 5 o'clock.
And if you can share, right, how much percentage your salary was lower in the teaching job when you joined JIT?
So I was getting around I guess 70,000 something in from my software job after tax deduction and everything. And when I went for a teaching job, my first check was of 50,000 something. So and I was married by that time.
Yeah.
And after resignation, my wife told me that we are going to be parents. After 1 or 2 days of resignation, she came to know about this. So life suddenly changed for me.
Got it. And you remember the date that you registered the Geeks for Geeks website and started it on WordPress?
I think I don't remember the exact date, but I remember the date of publishing the first blog. It was 20th March, where we published the first blog on Geeks for Geeks. Domain I registered with my DSO job. I registered during that time. I think 1 or 2 months before this publishing only I registered the blog.
And this date, when you published your first blog, that is 20th March 2009,
9.
you were already in your teaching job.
No, at that time actually I was with DSO.
Okay.
So I started Geeks for Geeks with DSO job only, and published a lot of content on weekend during the DSO job. And that is one reason I could decide that I need to leave this DSO job and follow this teaching job. Because while I was working with DSO, although I was not making any money, the blog was getting a very good traffic, and there was no promotion. Since there was nothing like this, engineering students को बहुत ज़्यादा need था और ऐसा कुछ था नहीं. So this started getting traffic organically, and I started getting many thank you emails. So that's how my decision of leaving the software job and joining the teaching job became very strong. Now I have this thing, although it was not making any money, but I could see that it is going to grow.
Dear listeners, before we dive further into the podcast, I would like to thank our sponsors, Prime Venture Partners. Prime is the first institutional investor in category creating tech startups like MFind, Dozy, Planet Sparks, Neo. Prime is now investing out of its fourth fund of $120 million. And today we have with us Shripati Acharya, Managing Partner, Prime. Shripati, when entrepreneurs are looking for money in their company, how do they evaluate the quality of the money?
While money itself is a commodity, the people behind it are not. Your investor is also your board member for the life of the company. So the key thing to figure out as a founder is, do you see your investor as a strategic partner with whom you can have critical conversations, founder issues, hiring and firing decisions, acquisitions, partnerships, exit of the company, and everything else? And the way to figure that out is to not only have meaningful conversations with the partner, but also deep reference checks with the portfolio CEOs of that investor.
Now, moving a little forward, right? When you were leaving your job in DE Shaw, what kind of traffic was there on this blog and what kind of content you used to publish?
So traffic was not very high, but the speed at which it was growing was really great to see. It was, doubling every 2-3 months at that time. And content I was publishing, I was in IIT Roorkee. So I appeared in many top companies, like I appeared in Google, Microsoft, and all the other companies. I applied some places off campus also. And we had a very good circle. Like when you are in IIT, you have these friends who appear in interviews. They talk about the interview preparation. They tell you like what kind of questions company asks. So with this IIT Roorkee environment, I could get a very good grasp of the expectations of the company, like what kind of questions they ask, how many rounds they have. And I appeared also in top companies. After BTech, I did not appear even in a single software company. I could not even get a chance to appear in this SDN interview. But after MTech, I could appear in these companies and I got a very good idea. So I used to publish a lot of content around these interview questions because we study a lot of things in engineering, right? And like if you see our engineering, when we people reach in third year, that's when we realize कि यार जितने सारे सब्जेक्ट पढ़े हैं ये किसी काम के नहीं है. Companies तो mainly problem solving और DSA के questions पूछने वाले हैं, and there are some standard data structures and algorithms that all you need to know, and mostly companies are going to ask variations of these standard questions only. So I used to publish only content around those topics.
And from 2009 to 2015, can you describe your journey building Geeks for Geeks while you were still in your teaching job?
For 2.5 years of my teacher job, I was doing it, was not making any money. And then 2009, I went for a lower salary and then continued working more and more on Geeks for Geeks. And again, with the teaching job also, again for 2.5 years or around 2 years, we were not making any money. So almost 5 years, I was just working on this project and I was not making even a single penny. And there was a time when I was paying a very good amount for the server charges from my teaching salary job. So then I decided to put ads on the site, and so ad ka revenue grows very slow. The first check I got was of 5,000 rupees in a month income, or maybe it was 1.5 months in 1 month's income. But from this time, the revenue started going up, and content business also one more thing, it doesn't grow very fast, but it grows at a good speed if you keep the quality good and if your consumers are happy with you. So 2.5 years did not make any money, then started with 5,000 rupees per month and then kept on growing. And when I left my teaching job, at that moment I was making more than my teaching salary. So my teaching salary was at that moment was around 70,000 rupees per month, and this ad revenue was much higher than that.
And you were single person running the website at Geeks for Geeks, or you had a team when you left your job at JIT?
So before this GIT job, I was a single person. But when I decided to do it full time, then I hired few people. Then few people joined me in the company.
But 70,000 rupees per month was really low for you to hire people. So how did you manage to hire people once you came full time into Geeks for
So
Geeks?
as I said, so while I was doing the teaching job, the revenue by the end of 5.5 years became much more than 70,000. It was almost double my salary.
Yeah.
It was like 1.4 lakh or 1 to 1.5 lakh. It was around that monthly income. So then it was very easy decision for me. I mean, if you compare my two decisions, leaving the DSO job versus leaving the teaching job,
Yeah.
leaving the teaching job was a very easy decision. And I believe that I feel like I should have left earlier.
And can you describe your journey? Let's say, I assume in 2015, you were making 1.5 lakh rupees per month from Geeks for Geeks blog via advertising. So, who are the first kind of people that you hired, and how did the team grow in the last 7 years?
So initially we hired four people. We were a team of five people. So those there were three interns and one full-time employee. And fortunately, I don't know how things work. There's some superpower that makes things happen. What happened was I was in this teaching job, and there was an employer. She also had to leave that job because her husband was being shifted to some other city. So she was okay to work with me even without any salary or at a very low salary. So I got a senior person. She had experience of teaching in multiple colleges. And since I was a teacher, I could get some top quality coders from the college itself, right? I knew who is a good coder, who is good at coding. So that's how we had four initial people. That one person, she was experienced, and three interns.
And what would be the traffic in the first year of 2015? Of full,
So when we started GeeksForGeeks full time, I mean, I could immediately see the growth in terms of everything because I was now like giving it a lot more time. And I don't remember the exact traffic, but the people who were working with me, they were very passionate, and they built like a lot of stuff. So initially GeeksForGeeks पे क्या होता था कि आप केवल content पढ़ सकते हो. So these guys immediately built an online compiler where people could compile and run the code. They can experiment with the code, and they started building a lot of features. People could have to do and done list, and a lot many other features started coming up.
so from that revenue of 1.5 lakh rupees a month, and your last year financials, Geeks for Geeks revenue was 40 crores rupees a year, right? How did you travel this distance? Can you share more nuances? What were the things, challenges during this journey?
So if you look at Geeks Stories business, we are mainly a content business, and I think this journey can help the aspiring people who are into the content business. So initially क्या होता था Siddharth, I used to write everything myself for a long time. And then students started sharing their interview experiences. They started sharing these questions. Here, this question was asked to me in Microsoft interview, and they just used to send me raw code, which was working. So what I used to do, I used to refine that code, used to add comments to it, and used to publish it. So initially, I was doing most of the stuff. And I remember in 2015 when I started, I used to check main server every now and then. Like, so रात में सोते टाइम भी चेक करना है कि सर्वर पे लोड कितना है, स्लो तो नहीं हो गई है साइट, सुबह उठते ही चेक करना है, दिन में भी आधा घंटे बाद चेक करते रहना है. So this is how my initial journey was when I started full time. And after writing the content myself and reviewing the content myself, we started having people who were reviewing the content instead of me doing it. And then we started building a platform where people could write the content also. So we started the journey as an individual contributor to a crowdsourced platform where anybody can come and write the content. And that's how our business functions today. Students can come and write articles on their topics. And once they write 2 articles, they get an offer letter from us. And then they get work from home internship certificate. And whatever they publish on Geek Stories, they get paid for everything. So initially started as an individual contributor, then had a team of reviewers, then the review part also we have crowdsourced now. Most of the reviews that happen, they are happening through external reviewers only.
And today, Geeks for Geeks with 22 million monthly active users, as you had shared earlier, would be the second largest coding website in the world after Stack Overflow.
Yeah, we can say that. I mean, people just mention us everywhere. I mean, after Stack Overflow, I think Geeksway is the most mentioned platform on social media and everywhere.
And what made you stick to it, right, during this journey? Because you could have thought from, let's say, that let's bring some other services also in the business, but you were very focused on only working on, improving the content for coding. So where did you get that kind of focus from?
So you can say like we are a bootstrapped company. So one thing is we did not have any choice कि यार कुछ और भी कर सकते हैं, because if you are building a business, it's very important that you focus on one thing only, right? Because when you diverse into multiple things without much money or without much resources, your existing business might also impact. So for a long time, we just built the content business. And once the content business became into autopilot mode, like people are writing the content writing is crowdsourced, content reviewing is crowdsourced, then we started the courses business around 2.5 years back. Once this went into autopilot mode, then we thought यार अब कुछ और भी कर सकते हैं हम coding के around, because we now have a lot of traffic around coding. So we started building the courses, started with lots of free courses, and now we have both live courses where experts come and teach online, and we also have self-paced courses which are built by our team. And we have pre-recorded videos, we have practice questions, we have quiz questions, and everything in a single course. So I would say ki, if you are an entrepreneur, make sure that you first bring your business into an autopilot mode, set up the processes, set up the rule book, and once you feel like without your intervention, it's running, then you can probably think of other businesses. This happened with us around 2.5 years back. So that's when we started the courses business. And we are currently even hustling in the courses business. We are trying to set up the processes, trying to understand whether self-paced would work better or live would work better or a hybrid would work better. And once this goes into an autopilot mode, then probably I'll think of a third business.
And if you can share the revenue that you get from ads on the content business versus the revenue from courses.
So around 70% of the revenue comes from the ad business and around 30% comes from the courses business. But here, guys, if you look at the two businesses, the ad revenue has very slow growth compared to other businesses. The content business has slow growth. If you compare to other businesses like fintech or maybe the courses business, the courses business in 2.5 years has really grown really faster. And I strongly feel like within a year or two, it will cross our ad revenue.
And why do you think ad revenue for content, even when 22 million people are consuming it every month, is so low in India?
इंडिया में बेसिकली लोगों का पेइंग पावर लेस है, तो एड्स डू नॉट द सीपीसी एंड एवरीथिंग ऑल दोस थिंग्स आर low in India. But fortunately for us, even we could reach this number because we had international traffic, and even the content creators who purely create for India, right? Even reaching this number would be very difficult for them. For us, we have traffic from US, China, UK, and all the developed countries. That's why we could even reach this level. But I mean, if you talk about other content businesses which are purely for Indian audience, it would be difficult even to reach this number.
So Sandeep, you were a passionate teacher and a passionate content creator. Where did you learn the skills of being a CEO? Because CEO role is much more beyond that, right? You build a team of 250 people, you build processes, hired, maybe even fired some people, right? Scale the revenue, focus on revenue. So how did you acquire these skills? And if you can share with our audience that being a content creator is one part, but being a CEO of a 250 people company is completely different ball game.
Right, Siddharth. So, what happened with me, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur at the first place, just wanted to be a teacher. And my dream was कि एक इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में पढ़ाना है, पार्ट टाइम कुछ रेवेन्यू जनरेट करना है और अच्छी जिंदगी जीनी है. इनफैक्ट आई थॉट ऑफ डूइंग अ पीएचडी एट ए मूवमेंट एंड थॉट कि किसी आईआईटी में जाके प्रोफेसर बनना है. But when I saw the potential in Geeks Stories, the kind of traffic I saw and the kind of growth I saw, I strongly felt like the company needs more time of mine. And I started, I mean, recently I started completely moved into management. And these things I've learned over time. I've made many mistakes. The first hiring was a mistake. I had all the three coders and one teacher, right? Ideally, you should have a non-tech person also in the team, the person who can manage sales, HR, and the marketing part. But initially, there was no non-tech person. We were all tech people, and just this mistake, not only just this mistake, made many mistakes. Even now, I make mistakes, and I learn from those mistakes, and then learn and grow. So that's what the journey has been for me. Like I make some mistakes, learn from them, and then improve with time. And as you said, Siddharth, managing a team of 250 people is definitely not easy. अगर आप कंपनी स्टार्ट करते हो तो खुद से आप 18 घंटे भी काम कर सकते हो, खुद से बैठ के पूरे दिन कंटेंट करना है, कोड करना है, आप कर सकते हो. But when you talk to so many people and manage so many people, it becomes tiring at a certain time. But I've been learning that part and improving myself with time.
And you shared just before starting of a podcast that on a daily basis you have 30 to 35 interactions with different people in the team, one-on-one interactions. So how do you manage that?
So right now what happens is I have a PA and anybody can book a slot with my PA in the company. And we have open door policy also. Anybody can walk into my cabin. And once the person books the slot, I reach to that meeting, I talk to those people. Also, since we are not a funded company, we do not have very highly paid people, very highly experienced people that we can get from other companies. So most of the people in the company are very, very young. And these young people, they are very, very energetic and they work really, really super hard. You just need to give them the vision. You just need to give them the direction. So that's what my role has become now. I just try to talk to maximum people daily in the office and just try to tell them like, why are we doing this? Why are you involved in this project? What is the motive you are serving? What is the motive we are serving as a company? And with time, once we have more and more senior people, I would love to reduce those number of meetings for sure. But that's the situation as of now.
So from being a teacher to content creator, now your daily role is more being a communicator, right? You are just communicating and selling the vision to the current employees.
Right, right.
Wow, that's been quite a transformation. And could you share, like, among these 250 people, how many of them are older than 4 or 5 years in the company?
There are many of them. The people who joined from the beginning, they have been here from that time. And fortunately, that I was a teacher, and most of the people who are at the senior level in the company, they were my students. They joined from that time, and the person who is leading the tech, the person who is leading the business development, they were my student at some point. And the person who is leading the courses content team, he was also my student. So they joined here, and after their BTech, and they have been here from that time. And we have a very, very strong bonding also with them, and it has been working great for us. And attrition rate for the senior people is very, very low in the company. But I would say they just joined after the BTech and they just remained with us. Even the person who leads the content team, he was not my student, but he joined after BTech, and I think he has been there for 7 years now. So most of the senior people who are leading the teams, they are all very, very senior people.
How do you inspire so much loyalty when your competition can offer them 2x 3x salary?
I think they have been involved from the beginning, and they're the people who have decided most of the things. And I can tell you for sure, Siddharth, many of these guys they don't even apply, right? They don't even reply to the messages when they get from other companies or other competitors. They are so much into the company because they started at a very young age, and they built most of the stuff here. They did make a lot of decisions also in the company. So I strongly believe that many of them don't apply to many other companies and they don't even respond to the messages when they get some offers from the other companies.
So you build a culture of very high ownership and accountability where they own the decisions that they take.
Right.
and there is a high feeling of ownership in the company that they built this company.
Right, that's very true. Actually, mostly decisions are taken by them, and it doesn't happen that people are told कि अब ये करना है, right? Everything is discussed with and try to even if I'm making a decision in one team, I try to discuss with other team heads that we are making this decision in this team. For example, I currently manage the marketing team. So even whenever we make a big decision, we bring a big influencer on board, or we sponsor a web series. I do discuss with other team heads and tell them like this is what we are trying to do. Let me know your suggestions. So that's why I do a lot of meetings, and they become part of every decision making, even if it is of other teams.
When your competition, for example, Scalar, Newton School, right? They are also expanding the market, but when they put so much money that they have raised on influencers, on other marketing activities, how do you think of competing, or if not competing, then growing at a same kind of pace that you are growing?
So in that way, we are very, very fortunate. We have this traffic, very, very high traffic. So there was this tool by Amazon called Alexa, and according to this tool, our rank was 207 in the world and 57 in India when this tool recently stopped working, right? So this traffic gives us a lot of power. I mean, we get a lot of confidence, even if there are funded companies who are trying to build in this same domain. We are going to stay here, and our customer acquisition cost is going to be very, very low, and we have built this machine of generating the content. So this traffic is even going to grow more and more. It's not going to go down. And if someone even tries to replicate that machine to generate the content, it's going to take many years, because we have learned over 13 years to build that machine of content generation.
And your acquisition of these 22 million students per month on your website, has there been only organic, or do you mix paid and organic to bring that?
So initially, when we had very less revenue, it was all organic. Now we do spend in marketing and customer acquisition. And the thing about GeeksForGeeks is, it's one thing is pure content. People do search something on Google, they come on platform, they see the code, they consume it, and they leave it. So as a company, you would like people to stay more on your platform. You would like them to engage. You would like them to register on your platform so that they can consume more content and they can get personalized services. So the marketing spend that we do for acquiring the customers, we do it for the other things other than the content. Like we have a practice platform where we have practice problems where people have to register to practice coding, and then we have job portal where people can apply for jobs. So we try to get people on those platforms by spending into marketing and other stuff.
And what's your next few years vision for GeeksForGeeks, where it will be, and where do you want it to be?
So as I said in the GeeksForGeeks, we have built a machine for content generation, and this machine was mostly around coding. And now I am looking forward to use this machine and improve this machine so that we can generate the content in every domain. We've already started in school domain and published a lot of content in the school domain. We are trying to, we've already also started in the news domain. We started publishing content in the news section. We have a subdomain called news.geeksforgeeks.org. We are also trying to enter into other domains to use this machine of content generation. So this is one part. The courses side, again, we would like to scale to every domain, have courses of every domain, but there again, we don't have any processes, very set up process or rule books there. So there we are just trying to set up the rule book, trying to set up the processes so that we can scale it to different things.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. What I truly wish is, GeeksForGeeks become the first truly profitable public edtech company which is bootstrapped in India, and you set a vision for other entrepreneurs that how they can, over a long period of time, with passion and consistency, build a profitable edtech. Right? Many people are today saying, this model in edtech wrong, is that model wrong? So that I love. And to my listeners, if you like this episode, please do subscribe. I and Sandeep together put in a lot of love, passion to make this episode happen. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Siddharth. Thanks, Siddharth.